And it just took me 21 minutes to film that. So I'm going to guess that this is actually going to be a part 2. This is actually the first episode that's going to be in 2 different separate videos because I'm trying to keep all of these under 25 minutes. So there you go. That's how worked up I got about that episode. Slightly different outfit with long sleeves. Not because I just paused and changed for some odd reason in the middle of the night, but because it's literally the next day because my sister walked in the middle of me recording. Always fun when I have to suddenly stop an epic rant because the door is opening, and that would be weird. So yes, it's the next day, so I'm changed, and it's colder today, so I'm in long sleeves. So, continuing where we were yesterday, point number 7. Mir says, I don't understand why you like Tan Bodan so much. And I bring this up because I'm still trying to figure out the name thing. Why didn't Mir say the other Tan Bodan if he claims to name Tan for himself? And also, really, it brings up more intriguing questions about what Mir's real opinions of Tan are. I still don't think that Mir is really 100% against Tan existing. It's more like the world in general that he hates. Well, Tan actually has good things about him that Mir is only against because people are specifically choosing Tan over Mir, whether they know they are or not. Which, in this scene, Jajan is very specifically choosing Tan over Mir, and I hate it because it's not fair for her to be doing this. It's an intense rejection purely because it's not expected and weird, not because she knows Mir. The implications of this are massive, I'm telling you. Number 8, the final point for this specific scene, look at that, I just scrolled down far enough to tell. I hate the way that Jajan turns her face away from him, alright? Directly related to what I just added to the point above, the indirect rejection of d.i.d. purely because it's d.i.d. is what it feels like, and I hate it. It's like an implanting in our brain that it's perfectly okay for her to be reacting to an alter this way, whether she knows she is or not. It literally feels like a subtle cue for what's normal and therefore okay. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Like, someone who has d.i.d, if you see this scene, is that what it feels like to you? Why do I get that feeling? Maybe I'm reading into it what I'm not supposed to be reading into it, but that's what it feels like. And on top of that, one of the things that supports that feeling is the fact this is extremely unlike Jajan, and I mean extremely unlike her. Think of how she reacts to everything and everyone else throughout the whole drama, before and after this scene. Within character, she, Jajan, should be pushing or pulling or yelling or something. But instead, she's absolutely speechless and turning her face away like she's disgusted with him. Or, what's another word? Disgusted is the first that comes to mind. Is that it? Maybe timid like a helpless mouse? And that's not her? Towards Mir, towards the altar, towards d.i.d. This is the only time, literally the only time in the entire drama that she reacts like this. Why? I get that if you're in shock, you're gonna act a little different than you were in other times, but that's not how it's coming across to me here. It's not coming across that she is just purely in so much shock that she's suddenly out of character. Yes, people can act a little weird and different when something completely unexpected and really weird and upsetting happens, but not to this degree. People still act within character when something truly shocking and unexpected happens. They're still within character. This, to me, is not within her character. And, I don't know how else to put it, so I hope that what I wrote there makes enough sense. And then we're going to be continuing with this, just with another scene. Now we're finally done with the scene that literally has Jajan facing off against Mir without knowing that that's what she's doing. So now Tan is back. Number 9, here, Jajan says when he was looking for the pills, she figured it out. She, with her own mouth, says she didn't figure out until Depan was looking for the pills right after knocking Mir out after he had the knife to her throat and everything. Though I'd love to know why the pills make her think of d.i.d. Is it because it's the year 1911 and that's the way it was treated back then? As we see in a minute, they clearly had other things wrong. So I say again, why was she acting so out of character before here? Think of every other time in this entire drama when she's been confused. Even up against Tan. When has she ever done it that way before? Never. She has never done it this way before. This is literally the only scene where she does this. Number 10, and here it is. Why did this drama feel the need to suddenly name this disorder? At all. Never mind with the completely different disorder's name. Question marks and exclamation points. Okay, again, set 109 years ago. Okay, I think I heard before that people used to mistake it, and maybe still do mistake, d.i.d. for schizophrenia, but especially without a full disclaimer, because this show was made in 2020 when they do know better. Why did they have a character name the disorder? This was not necessary. On top of this being really weird knowledge for Jajan to have, because no, they never told us what she was studying abroad. However, everything we've seen so far implies it was something like engineering and or science without even a hint, except one reference to essential oils, which doesn't mean that a person is studying health of any kind, let alone mental health. In fact, it implied she only did that because she was looking for a way to help her dad specifically. But now we're going to randomly say that Jajan read a book that randomly told her the name of this disorder. I swear, the only reason they did this was so that they could really quickly skim over her finding out, like an absolute cop-out, so she instantly understands, because they decided to pick here, now, in the middle of people heading off of a cliff, to suddenly have her find out. Why? And this is in big capital letters. Why did they have to do this? They could have and should have had her going, over weird things multiple times before now, with literally everything else in this show so well set up that nothing else is out of the blue, except, what's his name, liking Chun-Ting. This is the one and only thing that is 100% out of the blue. And it's so jarring, it is literally almost physically painful. And if this is how they were going to do it, they shouldn't have had her find out at all. Because as it stands, literally they are the only reason she found out at all is because they needed a way to pull Tan back out of the inner world at this point. After taking away his two major foundations, being the best detective and Jajan's love, those are, like I mentioned ages ago, that those seem to be the two things that he bases all of his worth on, as being a good detective and his love for Jajan. And now we see what happens to him when you take those foundations away. But at this point, Jajan herself is the only thing that could possibly bring him out. Which, in actuality, they probably could have used her to pull him back out without even knowing that that's what she was doing. So no matter how you look at it, if this is how they were going to have her find out, they should not have had her find out. This was a major cop-out. This was a major train wreck. This was like... I'm running out of words to say how mad I am about the way they did this. But that was a bit of a sidetrack from the original thought, i.e., on top of everything else, they used the wrong name. So, a big question I have, considering everything else that Jajan says and does in response to this, is she not only calling it by the wrong name, but also treating it like the wrong disorder? Let's continue and you tell me. Number 11. No wonder you didn't said those things. I'm sincerely hoping she's only talking about the scene that literally just happened, because it makes absolutely no sense that she'd be thinking of anything else. Because aside from what Mira did to the guy in the restaurant, she's literally seen nothing else, and I see no confirmation that Tan was specifying anything like that as Mira doing, which means Jajan's entire opinion of Mira, everything she says here and later, is based on one event. Point 12. And okay, based on how Tan is reacting. Because at least right here, remember before my whole rant started, I pointed out that Tan only said he's cunning, not he's cunning and evil. But he does look very upset about Mira's existence, and he personally thought Mira was going to hurt Jajan. Tan thought that he was going to hurt Jajan. And he was acting enough like he was going to. Mira was acting enough like he was going to that I can see why Jajan would think that, especially after Tan seems to confirm it. I honestly don't think he actually would have. I know that Mira's got a temper that has led him to directly hurt other people, though he's never with his own hand tried to kill someone that didn't try to kill him first, that we've seen. But like I've said, I believe his feelings for her are real. He himself said, why would I hurt her? And if Tan has proof that he would, like I said before, I seriously wish they had spent more time showing me that. And I also wish that there had been a scene where Jajan asks Dapan about Mira. Because now the only painting she gets of him is that one time that she saw him, that she knows that she saw him, and what Tan himself thinks of Mira. And you cannot deny that Tan has an extremely biased opinion of Mira. Dapan is an outsider who spent an entire case with Mira, an entire 2 cases with Mira. Why would he not have some kind of exchange with him about what he really thinks of Mira? We have to see so many other stupid scenes with stupid people in this show, but we couldn't have even had 2-minute conversation about that? Why? Why? Golden opportunities thrown out the window. Why? Point number 13. I've tried everything, says Tan. Except properly getting to know and communicate with Mira. I mean, unless Tan was trying before he tried the meds, but we didn't get to see that, which was a question I had ages ago. How hard has Tan really tried to understand and communicate with Mira? Where is our proof that there is no way that Mira could ever change? Probably, I think I said before, one of, if not the biggest reasons I can't accept Mira being some kind of pure evil alter. One, because of the few times they act like that's all he is either Tan's bias or this weird, uncomfortable scene with Jajan that is out of character, out of left field, full of what feels like an odd agenda that's skimming over something that should have been a major climax of powerful stuff, and it wasn't. And 2, because they've given me no proof that any real attempts were made, and Mira consistently rejected all of it. The one and only time we saw was when he was rolling his eyes while Tan was trying to make him understand that cases are not just about exposing killers, but about healing the wounded. And we could have had an actual discussion about why he would not want to hear that, considering what was just revealed about his mother's death. So, moving on to the cliff scene. Number 14, in this whole invalidation, you can't use these scenes for anything besides points on what you should never do with your characters. Number 14. Okay, I'm a little confused. Tan says he always stayed calm and objective while solving cases until I found out he's the one you loved. As in the beginning of episode 14? Because he was already falling apart before that. Like, he started overdosing in episode 12. So is Tan saying that Mira has been telling him this for longer than what we saw? But Tan reacted in episode 14 like that was the first time he said that. So yeah, I'm a little confused. Point number 15. Why? What the crap, woman? What the crap, screenwriters? Are you saying you want to get rid of him because of me? Not because he's evil? Is that what she wants to clarify? No! She goes right ahead and says, well, that's fine, isn't it? He's just someone hiding inside of you, i.e. not real as implied. So what's wrong about wanting him gone? Why did they have to do this? This whole scene shows so much growth in Tan. Taking responsibility, admitting his faults, understanding that Mira's existence is not simple or any less real than his own existence, etc., etc. And then we have Dajan just jumping off a cliff instead of pouncing on another golden opportunity. Tan doesn't want to get rid of Mir because he's evil or dangerous. He only wants to get rid of him because of Dajan, and that's her response? Note this, people. Mark it down in your books. Number 16. And then as Tan is literally refuting the idea that Mir is pure evil, refuting it, people. Again, Dajan's reaction is so disjointed. She's completely sweeping Mir aside. I understand right now Tan is in a dangerous slump where he's believing he's worthless, and Dajan is desperately trying to stop him from spiraling back down into the slump he was in while in the inner world. And I'm glad, because I love Tan, and it's so sad that he's so depressed, and someone needs to hug him. If I was standing beside him, I'd be like, no. But pay attention to the back and forth of the dialogue. I'm not playing favorites here. She is literally uplifting Tan by completely sidestepping Mir. I swear, he's not the focus of the conversation, fine. But every time Tan says something about him, she literally doesn't go, okay, but. She just goes, but. She completely avoids everything he says about Mir. She just found out about Mir, and she can't make it any clearer that she has beyond zero interest in who or in why he is. Point 17. Thanks to you, the kid was saved. From what? From who? I will never get over this, but fine. The poisoned river. Cool. Go Tan, go. You're awesome. Thanks to you, Mo Jiming and Liang Jinting. Those are the people way back in episode 1, like that very first case, like the introduction to him that we saw. Thanks to you, Mr. Hong. Wait. Absolutely sidestepping, girl. How dare you? So much proof she doesn't have a clue who is Tan and who is Mir. Tan played a big role in that case, yes. But that's the case Mir was out and solving the majority of. Mir played as big of a role as Tan did, and don't you dare sidestep that. Okay, I don't think she said, as long as you're with me, like the subtitle said. I think in the original she actually said, as long as you are here, which I'm good with. I'm good with most of what she said after they stood up. Tan is in desperate need of knowing that he is needed and wanted, and that he's entirely valid, and for that the scene is important, and I'm glad it's here. He needs that, and I really like him, and like, I just, again, am seriously angry at how blatantly Dajan is ignoring Mir. This conversation isn't supposed to be about Mir, no, so to focus on him, no, but like I said, Tan is talking about him. Clearly, Mir is extremely important to Tan. The whole discussion of who he is and what's happening is very important to Tan. He needs to talk about him with someone. He has been handling this by himself for ages, and finally, he's actually talking about Mir to someone other than Dapan. Things about him that he hasn't even said to Dapan because he's just realizing this himself. This is very important to him. He is talking about Tan, and Dajan is showing zero interest. Not even saying, okay, but we'll talk about him later if you want to. What's important is, no, nothing. Clearly, this is important to Tan, and she's 100% sidestepping him. As in, like, she's literally not even acknowledging that Mir exists outside of saying what's wrong with wanting him gone. It's disturbing to me. It's very disturbing and upsetting. She's not only actually, in this whole thing here, the way she's acting, she's not only completely avoiding Mir, she's actually avoiding a part of Tan himself. Because Tan needs to talk about this. Tan needs something. And she's like, nope, we're going to talk about other stuff. We're going to talk about how I feel about you and how much I want you around. So in a way, this is about Tan. In a way, this is actually about Dajan. In the end, there's just way too much information missing here. How does Dajan really know that it's Tan she's in love with? / only Tan she's in love with. These scenes are acting like she's definitive one way or the other, but we have no proof that it is or that it is ever has to be. All those missing years we know nothing about. She didn't know he had d.i.d. until now. How many times has she interacted with Mir? What is with that memory? How does she know which parts were Tan and which were Mir? So how can she say which one she's really in love with? I mean, when it comes down to it, how does she even know right now that it was Tan who saved the kid from the shed? There is literally way too much missing information that the show never fills in. Instead, Jajan suddenly finds out about Mir, completely sidesteps him, and for the rest of the show, absolutely ignores the fact she found out. Like you, the viewer, can easily forget that she found out because there's absolutely nothing at all, not even the slightest hint anywhere, ever, that any part of her finding out actually happened. And I hope by now, with all those words that I said, I hope somewhere within that it's starting to make sense to you exactly why I was so mad at that episode and why I'm just like, throw it out, just pretend that it didn't exist. Except you can't entirely because there's some of those scenes that I actually really liked and are really important. And like I say, all the growth within Tan himself. This is like a major turning point for him. His whole entire attitude toward Mir and everything with Mir, like everything shifts here. It actually does. And when you go further, you can kind of tell it shifts. And it's so significant and so important. And it is such a massive, massive letdown that this show did this with Jajan. Like, oh. It doesn't feel like a whole 22 minutes passed, but it did, so I'm still all wound up. So I guess this one has to end on a wound up note. That is episode 18 of Detective. Thanks for watching. You should probably go and watch it yourself and tell me what you think. Do you agree with me at all? I might just be ridiculously over the top. I told you I overthought this to the nth degree. So after all that overthinking, I don't think I'm wrong. There's always a possibility that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So, bye. Thank you for watching. That was part 2 of episode 18.